Hello everyone, in this video I am going to demonstrate for you how you can make a cool render like this using Substance Painter even though you may have never opened Substance Painter before. If you're interested in learning Substance Painter further, that is a discussion for a different tutorial. Alright, let's get started. So the first step would be File, then New, and then you click on Select, then you choose the file that you want, then Open, and then I typically change the resolution of the document to 2K. 2K is good enough. And then hit OK. Here is the file. This is what the object looks like. What you see here on the right side is having all of those UVs stacked on top of each other for each individual object. And it doesn't matter because they could be messy as long as they're all in that one square. And also, even though they're stacked on each other, since they are individual objects, it's not going to be a problem. The important thing is that the UVs are unwrapped in order for this to be successful. Next, I'm going to go here to the layers menu. And by the way, I kept the menu exactly as the default, just so you wouldn't be playing some guessing games, because I'm making this video to make it appropriate for anyone who hasn't used Substance before, so it would just be straight to the point without any surprises. Okay, so in the layers here, just click on, since you have this layer specified for the object, you go and click on this button, which is basically Smart Materials. So you click here and then you get to choose whichever material that you want. Undo, try something else like undo, and then I'm gonna go into something maybe just for fun for now. Undo. I'm gonna show you what the wood looks like. There are a variety of wood textures. The problem with the wood is that if you have any issues with the UVing, the wood is gonna show you any mistakes with the UVing. So just something to be kind of to keep in mind. Okay, so what I want to do for this demo, as I mentioned in the beginning, I want to use the copper material, especially that the copper has a really nice feel to it in Substance, and also when you render it out, it gives you some really cool options for glare. And in order for me to go into the rendering process, I need to go and click here on this camera button. If you click here, you get to choose environment settings. So you can go here and change the panorama, and you can see it already influences the type of lighting that you get. Let's say I want to go with this. I'm gonna click here on the camera. Next, I'm gonna go into the camera, and then I'm gonna play around with the field of view, and you also can change the focal length. So depending on the object, you wanna choose what is appropriate for that. You can also go and change the aperture, and the aperture is what defines the amount of depth of field, and that's going to be basically how much the amount of blurring that you get. How much when things are out of focus, how much of out of focus they are. So if you increase the aperture, you can see that the result is going to be extreme. The lower the aperture, the less of that difference between the in focus and out of focus. And now that I have a closer camera on it, and now I can change the focus distance to really focus on the parts that I really like to have in focus. So right now it's these eyes. Also, if you zoom out, that point of focus changes. So keep that in mind. But to make things really much easier to render, I'm gonna push down the aperture, and then this way everything's gonna be in focus. Now if you want to make some cool effects, this is the area where you would really feel like playing around, because it's gonna give you some really awesome post-process kind of effects. So let's review some of them at least. Activate post effects, and then you go here into the glare, you activate the glare, and then here's some cool glare you get there. You can even choose what kind of glare you get. So standard, cheap lens. Cheap lens is effect, this is kind of a side note, but cheap lens effect, that is when certain lenses are not great at keeping the light away from bouncing inside the lenses, inside that lens, because each lens has separate lenses inside, or a certain amount of objects that let the light through or sort of like focuses. So cheap lenses don't have the ability to prevent a good amount of light away, so you get this kind of cheap lens effect, which is really cool, even the way that they even named it here. So that's pretty awesome. And then threshold. Then here's the vignette. Adding some vignette would be kind of nice to give some focus area. And also, by the way, the vignette is one of the things that sometimes you get out of cheap lenses, so it's kind of complementing to the effect that we went with, or I went with, in terms of cheap lens effect. So if I go here to change to the cheap lens, that would be kind of even nicer to push more vignette, because also the vignette is one of the issues you get. Just a side note, but I'm still gonna stick to the... I think this is pretty much what I would like to focus on for this demo. And of course, once you're done, it's very important to know how to save. So if you click here on the render settings, you see the option for save render. Of course, you can try other materials, but the copper is one of the cool ones, especially that it's well fitting for the effect of the glare that you get out of this. Okay, peace out.